Hey there. Today, the planet Mars is opposing Pluto. That opposition that has been moving into exact is exact today, bringing some polarities, some themes of fighting for what's right, standing up, finding your courage, really to ultimately be yourself and create the kind of world you want to live in. We have the planet Pluto in Capricorn in its final days of this Capricorn energy. So let's talk today about what it means at this point in time and how we can think about the unfolding journey and what comes next. I'm Marina Orms here with your Astro Vibe, Astro Perspective for Sunday, November 3rd. Um, so so today, the planet Mars in which is the energy of action, of defending and protecting and standing up for what is right, for its life force energy. It is will, it is drive, it is passion, in the sign of Cancer, right? Cancer is the sign of caring, so mothering, nurturing, thinking in terms of what it means to care for others, to care for ourselves, to take action to support caring in the world. And so standing up for rights to access healthcare for women. And, that is really the deeper theme below the surface of some of these political arguments, I guess, that we might have, or disagreements, and that Mars energy can bring conflict, right? It pits different points of view against one another. But ultimately, the theme here is about how we treat one another and about the role of mothering in society, what we want that to be, what we want that to look like, and caring, healthcare, right? Access to healthcare, access to reproductive care, access to choice, right? Another good theme about Mars is the ability to make a decision. And so, who has the power to make the decision? And we have, is it going to be the individual or is it going to be the government? And so we've got Pluto in Capricorn bringing in this theme of Pluto, which is power and truth and the deeper places uh, of truth that may be buried below the surface. So Pluto in Capricorn brings in this energy of authority and outside authority, like government, right? And so versus the inner authority that an individual has to stand up for themselves. So Capricorn also relates to backbone, structure, uh, strong foundations. And so when you know who you are, when you have a backbone, when your feet are planted solidly in the knowing of what is true and right and important for you, you can take that Mars action to be moving in the direction of defending and protecting, good Mars energy, these themes of who is the authority, who makes the decisions. So the energy of an opposition pulls us in two different directions. You end up with an opposition having a feeling of either or. There can be a feeling of conflict or opposing ideas, right? Disagreements. But also, there is this sense of that within us we are integrating these opposites. So in addition to standing up for what feels important and what kind of world you want to live in, and taking the action this week that we have the opportunity to do, of voting, right? Casting our vote, which Which you can do literally at the ballot box, and you can do, of course, with your intention. You can do cast your vote energetically. You can cast your vote in how you treat yourself. There are many, many ways that you are making a decision or taking a stand or deciding what you support and align with and want to defend and protect. And so it is, of course, important to vote and do your do this work of what it means to live in a democracy. The Pluto in Capricorn saying, you know, who has the power here? The If we in a democracy, the people have the power, right? And so how are we going to use that power? And we have decisions to make around that. Mars asking us to decide to pick up our figurative sword. Please don't pick one up literally, but figuratively, right? To know the ideas that you want to take a stand for, and the word decide means to cut away. And so that's the reference to the sword, right? Something sharp, something that is decisive, something that makes that decision, makes that choice, and cuts away what no longer is needed. And so that's part of the energy and why in many ways the energy of this election is so intense. It's also completing this time of Pluto in Capricorn. As I mentioned, the days are now numbered because Pluto will go into Aquarius on November 19th. Um, so again, for those of you who may be just new to this, I'll give you a quick recap. So Pluto moves very slowly. It has to do with the deeper places of our soul, truth, power, transformation, how we undergo a process of death and rebirth, figuratively, sometimes literally, but right, that figurative process of clearing away, of letting go, releasing the old to clear the way and make room for the new. So that's Pluto, and Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008. We had so really this transformational process relating to systems, structures, and institutions um, across the board, systems of government, structures of how things work, the way that things are organized, the rules, the ways that we do things, right? Our organization and those structures that we use to define who we are and how things are supposed to work. So that's Capricorn. And so we have power in the system, right? What does that look like? How do we want that to look? Are there some ways that power has been used in the system that it's time to let go of, right? That death process, releasing the old uh ways of organizing and who is in charge, and some of the ways that we might decide, we're done with that. That's no longer useful to us. But at the same time, we are making choices about what we want going forward. And of course, in society, we have that we end up having like differences of opinion, right? And some of the polarization about how we should go about this and who should have the power and what authority should be in charge of and who's deciding, right? Who's behind all of it, and what is the role of the individual, how we reclaim our authority through this process. So finding our backbone, knowing where we stand, what's important to us, what we want, and really asking ourselves, what is that? What do we want for the future, right? Not just what do we don't want grammatically. Okay. What do we not want, right? But also thinking about what we do want. Like, what would it look like if things were to work better, if we were actually to bring in improvements to the system or new systems or new ways of thinking that actually served us and our loved ones and our communities better. So thinking about the future. And Pluto went into Aquarius for a few weeks in 2023. Then it went retrograde back into Capricorn, again, back into the serious, responsible, heavy energy of dealing with themes of authority. Also, this Pluto and Capricorn energy was very much in place during the pandemic, during so many things that we've been confronting in recent years related to, the realities of climate change and so on and so forth. So, overturning of Roe versus Wade, right? The limitations on our freedoms, just many ways that this is showing up. Um, now, so last year, 2023, Pluto went into Aquarius and then went retrograde back into Capricorn, doing some more of the work that we need to do with Pluto and Capricorn. Then in 2024, January 20th, Pluto went into Aquarius. We had new visions of possibility, new ways of thinking that got us excited and inspired, thinking about freedom and how to be a champion of those freedoms. And then Pluto on September 1st retrograded back into Capricorn again, where it still is. So we have this squeezing through the birth canal, if you will, right? Death and rebirth. Um, this experience of like what is it we haven't confronted yet, what is it we need to see more clearly that has been beneath the surface that needs to come into the light of day, to be seen more clearly, to be understood, what is the energy we're working with, and so on. With these final days and weeks of Pluto in Capricorn. It's also 29 degrees Capricorn is our last chance. It's kind of like the last chance part of the time of Pluto in Capricorn, the last chance to really um, think about where we stand. Think about what's important to us. Think about what are the foundations that we want to establish for the way that we want things to work, right? The way that we want systems and structures to serve us and to work better for us. And what are some of the things we're letting go of? And what are some of the ways that we want to invite in a more powerful, more, you know, focusing on our own individual creative power to create that future that we can imagine. So again, this is not only about not going back to the past or not going back to whatever it is that we don't want to reinvent, right, or live through again, but also what is the future, what does it look like, what does it look like to establish things, which is a good Capricorn word, establish, right? Establishment. And so a new establishment for how things could actually work better, more sustainably, solve some of the problems that have been long-term ongoing issues, create a system that is more free, fair, just, balanced, some of those Aquarian ideals of what is possible in the future. So as we move through these final days of Pluto and Capricorn, we have more to complete. We have more to finish in terms of, this is the last chance of looking at what's hard, what we don't want anymore, what we need to do about it, and how to really plant that seed and that foundation. Make a plan, even, right? Capricorn loves plans. So make a plan, a strategy for how to move forward into the future and continue to be part of this story of creating new possibilities. So, as you know, if you've been following me, I don't make predictions about what this will look like or who will win or what's going to happen. But what I do is tune in with the energy of the bigger picture of the cycle. And when we can see how the energy is unfolding, we do see a bigger picture that says, things are not going to end this week. They things will continue, and the Aquarian need for freedom, the Aquarian focus on the power of the individual, the power of communities, the power of activism, grassroots movements, ways that we come together based on an idea. That's a theme we hear a lot related to the founding of the United States of America is this theme that we have created a nation based on an idea, right? An ideal, if you will, right? Maybe something that's never fully even attainable, but something that you constantly work toward. And we can think about that for our own selves and our own lives and our own personal journeys, right? Whatever that looks like for you and whatever circumstances you're dealing with in your personal life, you can think about, what is the ideal that I am moving toward, and how am I moving toward that ideal through my choices and actions and efforts and ways of thinking and ways of opening myself to learning about new possibilities. And so we can do that for our personal lives, and we can do that as well in the bigger picture together in our communities, and to make a difference in the world, to continue to strive for those ideals and work toward them. And we have to believe in them, right? We have to organize ourselves around them, which is a great reminder as Pluto completes its time in Capricorn of how do we want to organize? What is our strategy? What is our plan? How do we want to think about the shape of things moving forward? Because once Pluto goes into Aquarius, we will have more of it's an air sign. So we end up having more in the realm of thinking, ideas, consciousness, how we think about things, the paradigm of thought and ideas that may be changing and shifting how we think about things in many ways. So trust this bigger process. That's what I was sharing in yesterday's video with the Scorpio moon, and just really trust the unfolding of the energy. Do show up, right? It's important. Like if we just said, oh, I'm waiting for it to all get fixed, and went and hid under the blanket, um guess what? It wouldn't get fixed, because this is about us. It's about us showing up, being who we are, being engaged, being participants in this journey, because this human journey, it literally is about the journey. And so it's about how we show up. It's about how we discover what we're capable of. It's about how we learn and grow through the process. So maybe notice how that is showing up for you. And so that's Pluto going into Aquarius on November 19th. What things will look like between now and then, it's like just keep focusing on what you want, right? Connect with those ideas and those ideals. put energy into it, connect with your communities, your people who share your ideals and work together. So that is and this Mars in Cancer. Okay, so the other thing about Mars is that, right, Cancer is this lovely energy of caring, of nurturing, thinking about motherhood, parenthood, families, how we create our families, what's important to us about caring for our families. And so, many people have that up as a theme. And then Mars later in the day, today, November 3rd, Mars goes into Leo. So there we shift more into this outward expression of finding our voice, expressing the truth, finding our creative ways of sharing, telling our stories. Much of that will be we'll have a shift into more of that Mars energy in Leo, that has more to do with being seen, being seen in your journey. And so the more we tell our stories, the more we show up and share and create together, that we can work with that Mars energy of action and decision making, right? What's important to us. Mars will go retrograde. And so we have some planets upcoming, changing directions. It's kind of a bigger topic, but Mars will go retrograde in Leo. It will have a second exact opposition with Pluto in early January. So January 2nd, 3rd, we will have a second opposition between Mars and Pluto. So again, that energy, but this time Mars being in Leo and Pluto being in Aquarius. So instead of the Cancer-Capricorn opposition, we'll have Aquarius Leo. And that will bring more of the air fire energy, the outward expression, the how we move and how we shape ideas in the world around us. And so needing to take action again related to telling stories and sharing and creating together, focusing on the individual and Pluto in Aquarius. And then as Mars goes retrograde, it will return to Cancer, bringing back these themes of caring and families and healthcare and how we take care of one another and what's important to us about family and those types of themes. And then Mars will go direct again in 2025. By the end of April, we'll have our third exact opposition after Mars goes back into Leo. So I get into a little bit of detail there. Hopefully that's helpful to some of you. With Pluto in early Aquarius, we're going to be feeling things differently, hopefully connecting with what freedom looks like and feels like, and Pluto in Aquarius energy is the energy of the rebel, revolutionary. So I don't know what that will look like, but we can think about what freedom means to us and how we need to show up with our Mars actions and taking a stand for what is important to us, what we believe in, what we want to create for the future. So yeah, so we've got Pluto going into Aquarius in just November 19th. What is that? Two and a half weeks, something like that. So it's coming up. And these are the last couple of weeks that we really have to complete this Pluto in Capricorn work of pushing the stone uphill. Right? That's a lot of what it feels like. It's hard. It takes effort. It's very serious. We have to take responsibility. Remember, responsibility just means the ability to respond. So how you respond, how you show up, how you take care of yourself, how you care about those around you, and show up to work together in support of the things you care about. That's what it's all about. Thank you so much for being here, and I will link to a couple of my previous videos on some of these topics. Pluto going into Aquarius, Pluto in the final degree of Capricorn, Mars opposing Pluto. I've covered some of these topics before, so if you want to dive deeper, check out the links in the description for this video to learn more. And thanks so much for being here. I'm Marina Orms, and you can learn more about me at astrologyheals.com. Book a reading to explore your own natal chart and your own path, and how to think about these times related to your own life purpose and your soul's purpose. So astrologyheals.com is where you book time with me. And thanks for being here and subscribing to this YouTube channel. I'm here every day with astrology for unshakable self-care. Bye for now.